Good morning, everybody. How are all of you today? It's Heather Nichols today for the Tailored Expressions Live. Welcome, welcome. I am waiting for you to arrive so that you can tell me where you're from, tell me where you're watching from, and we've had a beautiful week here in Minnesota. I guess we had Tuesday was our really hot day. I know we are kind of lucky compared to some other areas of the country, but and I tend to be, if it's in the 90s and I'm getting the heat index like 100, I'm in the house and I'm working on my crafty stuff. So I don't know if you're like me or if you love the hot weather. I definitely get some beach time too. My parents live on a lake not far from here. Hi, Lisa from Illinois. It's good to see you this morning. And so last weekend, and actually it was like in the 80s and not humid, and it was beautiful. Karen's watching us from the Sunflower State. Gina's watching from Texas. Good morning, everybody. It's hot and humid in Texas, Belinda says. Good morning. So yeah. So how you guys have you had a good week? It's been kind of just a regular, kind of a summer week for us. We haven't had too much going on. Like I said, last weekend we spent some time at the lake at my parents' house, and we probably will this weekend too. Good morning. I'm missing you guys are coming in really fast now, so you're scrolling by my screen. Can you believe it's August? August is like, we are in like the countdown for the end of summer and the things that come with fall, right? So those of us that I'm sure school's starting. My daughter Hannah starts school in a couple of weeks, and so that's kind of on our minds. Our family has a big trip coming up in September, so I'm getting ready for that. And you'll hear more about that, I'm sure, as I go if you follow me on social media. So our big adventure is we are camping at Disney World. And so we're going to drive down and camp, and we have family that's done it before, and it's really fun. So this is going to be, we love Disney anyway. I know I've shared that before with you. So this is going to be our big fall trip. And since Tacey isn't in school and we can be flexible, we don't have to work around the school schedule, we're going to go down, and Hannah's going to fly down too and spend some time with us as well. So good morning, everybody. I said that how many times now, right? But y'all are saying good morning to me, so I'm saying good morning back. Yeah, Candy, fall, my time of year too. I love fall. Winter is my number one. I know that seems really crazy, but I love winter, and fall is a very close second. I love cozy sweaters. I love fall colors. I love snowflakes. I love all of that stuff. So we're getting into like my time of crafting season too. I mean, I love summer. I love flowers and stuff too, but if you had to have me rank, it would be winter, fall, probably then summer third, except I don't like the heat. Spring I like with the new flowers coming up. Spring is really slow here in Minnesota, and it's very gray and everything. I mean, I love like when stuff starts blooming and stuff, but I definitely have to say winter is my favorite. So I know I'm in probably a minority with stuff, and I think maybe that's growing up in Minnesota. We do a lot of things in the winter that I look forward to. So yeah, a lot of people looking forward to sports, and yeah, Candy, I agree. Cozy winter drinks and different things like that. So yeah, so let's see, what's going on in the TE world. We had our TE exclusives release on Tuesday. How many of you picked up those sets that you saw and didn't get or earn that month or something? And then we had the whole bunch of products to like coordinate with them and make them even more versatile. So I'm going to share a project with you today that I was shared on the blog earlier in the week, and you've seen it on she has it on some of the promo advertisements to my lemon cards. I don't have them in my hand because Taylor has them. The closest I have is like the backgrounds, but I'm going to show you how I created those cards because I'm sure maybe you want to know. I'll walk you through the process that I use as well. And if you go to the blog today, Joy Baldwin has a video up also doing a Squeeze the Day card. So it gives you some more ideas. And there's a couple other examples of cards on the blog with that. And some other cards from the TE Creative team made with TE Exclusive. So there's something for everybody. You're going to find some inspiration with everything that you see. And then don't forget, if you order $40 or more of the new products in the exclusive release, you'll get a $10 off coupon to use on your next order. And it'll get emailed to you after you place your order, and you have to use your coupon by the 31st of this month. I think by the 31st, it goes through the 31st. If you try to use it in September, it's not going to work. I'm just going to say that. So yeah, Well, it sounds like a lot of you had fun shopping. So there was some good stuff. There's some stuff I earned because I put in my share of orders as well, but there was some sets that I was happy to see now in my collection because of this release. Ooh, Charlie posted a sneak peek in the stories of what's coming up, and I'm sure you're all wondering if I have sneak peeks for you today. So I was talking about fall and talking about that season is coming, and that means what? What time is it to start crafting for? That's right. Halloween is coming, right? Fall and Halloween are kind of the next up on our docket of holidays to craft for, and next week is our Halloween release. And so this is a bigger one, so get ready for all sorts of great inspiration, new products. It's going to be so much fun. I'm doing the video next Thursday. I think Taylor's doing the video on Tuesday. There's some great things coming next week. I think you guys are gonna have fun. So I suppose you wanna see a little peek of what I created to do that. Somebody's asking a question about the coupon. I think it's 1 coupon per customer if I remember correctly. So you can contact customer service to verify that. But I think it's just 1 per person, per customer. So anyway, Halloween, let's get back to Halloween. So sneak peek, right? You ready? Here it comes. Anna, I think you're gonna be happy. I'm not showing you that first. Look, and I think Charlie's sneak peek might have something to do with these cute little ghosties as well. You guys, I have the camera in reverse and I'm still trying to figure out how to make that work. Aren't these adorable? Oh my gosh. And this, you guys, this is one of those when you talk about wanting to make quick and easy projects, this little ghosty right here, it's so quick and easy and so fun. So when you're talking about wanting to make lots of little Halloween treats and projects and things like that, this is gonna be one of the things you're gonna love. Quick and easy, you'll love it. Okay, especially when you have to make, if you've got like a group of people, like a class of kids for Halloween treats or something like that, or you wanna make a bunch for work, it's always great to have something that's quick and easy to make. So speaking of treats, we always have something for treats. I'm trying to think if I should show you. I'll stack them up here. Woo! You can hear the noises, so you're probably like, what does she have? Here come the treats. Look at these. Ah! There's that little ghosty again. Oh my gosh. You can fill these up with little treats, little gifts. These are gonna be really quick and easy, and you'll see why when it all comes out next week. So yes. And then finally, Anna, you kind of guessed already. I'm going to show you. So this is going to be the video next Thursday. So take a look at this. Yes? Can you guess what this is? Anna, you already guessed it, but instead of 4 cards, I have 2. I've used all the elements on there, and there's a little shake action going on in there. So there's your peek at that. And then I did a little extra bonus in the video, and also did, because you know I can't let Halloween go by without making tags, right? So check these out, and these are shaker tags as well. So if you are looking extra close, you might notice that there's maybe some new shaker filling in there as well. And I'm showing you just a peek of this stuff, and from what the rest of the design team has made and the other products that I'm not showing you, this is really just a small piece of what we have coming for you next week. We can't wait to share. So that will be Tuesday, and I will put a sneak peek up on the blog on Saturday. So if you want to see a little bit more of a sneak peek, stop by the blog on Saturday, and I think you will be really excited. There's so many fun things coming, and my desk has been Halloween all week. So it's really fun when we're crafting, and then like I can't really share what I'm crafting this week because it's coming soon. So I hope you guys enjoy everything that's coming. I had so much fun, and I heard from quite a few ladies on the design team that they had so much fun crafting. They made so many cards, and you guys wait to see what's coming next week. So, all right. Yes. Charlie's even helping with the tea today. She's helping with the tea spilling. So make sure you check our Instagram and stories and stuff like that if you want to see some more little things coming your way. So, okay, so should we flip and do some crafting? Now I'm going to flip. I got a new thing to hold my phone, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be as smooth and seamless, so bear with me here as we figure out this new thing together. I think it's going to be better. I had kind of a not so great situation. So I'm going to flip you up, and then I'm going to flip you around. And then I do need to, hold on. Thank you for bearing with me as I work through the technology of flipping it around so you can all see things the right direction. And I think I can slide you this way. So let's take a look at the Squeeze the Day products. If you go on the video, Joy gives you a look too. So the original exclusive was the stencil set like this with the leaves and the lemons. And then it came with the clear stamps that have different sentiments and also the little elements to add details to your projects. And then the new product that came out is the Squeeze the Day dies. So you come with these 3 dies to cut out sentiments. There's actual lemons to cut out and the flowers. And now these lemons don't cut out, like if you stencil this design, this doesn't cut out this. This makes its own lemon. And I'll show you, we'll see how much time we've got. I'm for sure going to show you the stenciling, and then we'll see if we can get as far as actually making lemons for the card. I made 2 cards with it, so my goal is to get these 2 cards done. I have things kind of prepped to move us along. So, all right, and I wanted to show you, so I stenciled on toffee, and I know we talk about stenciling on other colors all the time, and I just wanted to show you the difference in when you stencil on a color, if you lay down the sugar cube ink first, or if you don't use sugar cube ink. So you definitely, when you go on top of the toffee, you're going to get a more muted look. So this one on this side is just directly on the toffee. So it's still beautiful. It gives you a lovely look, but it definitely affects the colors, and it's going to just kind of give you a little bit more muted tone of that color. So if you take a look at this one, I did not lay the white down behind the leaves, but I laid it down behind the lemons, and look how much brighter that yellow shows up on the toffee. It's way brighter. And so if you're going to go for something that's a little bit more of a pop, laying down that sugar cube ink first is going to give you that brighter tone. And again, both of these are beautiful. Joy, in her video, she does not use the white, so she has a little bit more toned down version because she wanted that to set more in the background and have her lemons really pop out on her focal image. And then, but I wanted my lemons to stand out because I had them more where you're going to see the whole background. So let me show you how I stenciled this design as well. And then we're also going to do a little stenciling with the rotating gingham stencil, because that's how I got some of that kind of country rustic look, is I did a tone on tone with the gingham rotating stencil. So if you haven't seen that, that'll give you a look at that. So let's start off with a piece of toffee cardstock, and I'm just going to add that to my, I'm just going to put a little adhesive down. I'm worrying I'm like right at the end of my adhesive here, but I have more, don't worry. And you're gonna laugh, I have to order a new pixie spray. I dropped my pixie spray on the ground, you guys, and I broke off my lid, but if I hold it just right, it still will spray. So you're gonna have to, I'm just gonna do this over here so you don't really have to watch this, but it definitely can happen where crafting can go wrong. So that's running all over my hands. So that's on my next order, is that. Because you know me, I don't just use tape, I need to use the pixie spray, because I just really like when everything is held in place very quickly. I'm wondering if I can move down just even a little bit closer to everything. Okay, so make sure that you're on the right side of your stencil, so you watch for those etching, and that's going to be the front side of your stencil. And I'm just laying this right down in the guide on the grid paper. That's going to give me a really good ballpark of where my stencil is going to fall. So let's start out by adding sugar cube ink right into the lemons, because I want that brighter pop of color. So I've got my white blender brush, and I'm adding that layer of sugar cube ink first. And if you want, you can let this layer dry and you can come back to it, but it's not necessary. You're still gonna get the effect. One thing that it will do is if you don't want your sugar cube ink to really mix with your other inks, that would be when you wanna make sure that you let this dry, excuse me, and wipe off your stencil. You don't have to do it though. And I'm really just doing a really light layer of white. Really what you're doing is adding a surface to that color. Barb is saying no sound. Is that true for anybody else? Really, you're just layering down a light layer of color for your ink to sit on top of. That's what you're going for. Barb said, somebody else said they can hear just fine. So if the sound isn't working, you might want to refresh. I'm sure she can't hear me if she says there's no sound. So I'm not sure if that's helpful or not, but I know a lot of you can type that in. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, Linda. Okay, so I've laid down this light layer of white. And then I am just going to buff the white ink off of the stencil just to get that excess white out of there. Okay, Barb, good deal. It came back on. You know, technology and internet and wireless and all that stuff, sometimes it doesn't work to our favor, right? All right, so the first color I'm laying down on these lemons is lemon meringue. It's super interesting to see all of the different color combinations that everybody's coming up with to lay down for their lemon colors. I think today on the video, Joy used lemon meringue and then she shaded her lemons with honey. And I'm shading mine with orange zest, or not orange zest. Where did that come from? Candy corn. I am using honey, and I'll show you where. And of course, this set, I've seen limes, I've seen peaches, I've seen all sorts of fruit that people are changing up the colors and creating different patterns. Sometimes they're even just, you know, mixing colors just to get some cool effects. You can just really have a lot of fun and either go really literal lemon or lime, or you can take it in a whole different direction. There's a card up by Emily Miglowski, and she did limes with pink leaves, and then she took the little detailed dots and stamped them in the background and to add the black speckles in the background, and it looks really cool. I love that because that's not something I would normally do. There's the lemon meringue, and I'm just going to leave this in place and add the shading with the candy corn. And I'm using a bitty blender brush because I'm just doing a touch of color on the side. So I'm just really coming around the side. So I am keeping, I know this is hard to believe, I have a very light hand happening here to add this shading to the kind of little bottom edge inside. Just a touch of that orange. I tend to do orange with when I'm shading yellow, like shading the lemon meringue and shading the pineapple. I tend to use pineapple more, but the lemon meringue, first of all, lemon meringue, right? Second of all, it's a little bit more lemony yellow. So that's why I picked that one. Make sure I hit all of these lemons. Lemonade is definitely a summer drink. My mom makes, I don't know if you all are familiar, we have in Minnesota, and I know there's someplace else, it's called Caribou Coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker, but they make a really delicious green tea lemonade there. And my mom worked on it and has come up with her own version that's very close to theirs. And so she makes that. So that's one of my summertime drinks, is this, the drink that my mom makes. So I'm going to go back to the lemon meringue. So I added my shading with that, and I just want it to blend again. So a lot of times when I'm doing that, I'll just go over with that main color one more time, just to blend, really to make everything feather into each other. And I really want that yellow to pop, so that just makes sure that does that. And I'll do that if I'm blending even stripes too. I'll go back with the color and blend over the top if I want to kind of brighten or pop that area of color. Okay, I think I have everything I want done with the lemon stencil. So I'm going to peel that off, and then you can take a look at those lemons that are on there. You will notice too that while this ink is wet, it definitely looks a little bit darker, but as it dries, it's going to brighten up like this one over here. Okay, so let's add leaves. Again, I got to get my poor broken pixie spray. I got to put it in order so I can get this replaced. I'm not sure. We have a local craft store here. I'm not sure if they have it, so I suppose I could go check that out too. Or tell my daughter, because my daughter works there. There we go. Got to get that just right in there. And pixie spray juice is everywhere. I don't recommend dropping your pixie spray bottle nozzle first. Okay, so let's lay this on the top. Now this is going to be a good guide to get you started, to get that in place. And what I'm looking for is to make sure I can see the yellow. It might be hard to see on the camera, but you can see kind of the yellow outline where the leaves are touching the colored parts of the lemon. So I'm feeling good about where that is. So for the leaves, I'm going to do avocado ink. As my base color. And then I am going to do some shading with olive ink. That's one of my favorite green combinations, is avocado and olive, and it's definitely a more earthy green, which is, if you haven't noticed, the way that I like to lean. I will use the other greens. I have been known to use some Granny Smith and those other greens. I have one part of my stencil that did not stick completely down. That is the nice thing about pixie spray, is you can get that to stick down, but with my broken pixie spray, I can't be precise with if I have a little area. Oh, there we go, sort of. It'll be okay. Okay, so I'm adding that layer of avocado ink, and then I'm gonna go in with the olive, and I've got my bitty blender brush to do that shading. How do I wash off my stencil with the pixie spray? So Linda, I really don't wash my stencils with pixie spray because I use them again and again. You can apply it several times with that pixie spray before it's not as sticky anymore. So when I wash them, I'm generally just washing the ink off the stencil. The thing that I have found, because I have one time I sprayed pixie spray on the front of a stencil, so that wasn't going to work because it was a multiple layer stencil. And so I did use Dawn Power Wash, and I sprayed that down on the top of the stencil and let that soak. And that did take off the pixie spray so that I didn't have gobs of sticky on the front of my stencil. So I think Dawn Power Wash is something a lot of people use to get that off. All right, so I'm going to add shading. I'm just going to use that olive ink, and I'm going to go in and I'm hitting where the stems and kind of the bases of the leaves. Because if you think about a plant, that's usually where the color is the most saturated or the most shaded. And of course, this isn't like a realistic painting class. This is just stenciling and stamping. So I wouldn't stress too much about the color. Okay, and that little bitty blender brush is great. It helps me keep that color in right exactly where I want it to go. And if I get a little bit on the tip of a leaf, that's okay. Look at flowers. They have all colors all over. Okay. I'll take that off. And then we're going to use the clear stamps to add details. So I've got an acrylic block here, and this is where I'm going to grab my honey ink, and I'm going to grab candy corn ink. Oop. So these are the little speckly stamps to add details, and there's two different ones. So I just used one for each color, one for my honey, and I'm going to do the honey speckles kind of at the bottom part of the lemon. And I'm going to stamp not necessarily just once, but maybe even a few times to get a little bit of a kind of random look, and make sure I'm also turning my little dots so that not every speckle spot on every single lemon looks exactly the same. Candy says undo also works to get pixie spray off. Good to know. I have not tried undo. So I'm doing the honey speckles at the bottom. I think one thing that Joy shared in the video is when she did her blending with her color, of her honey color, instead of blending with the brush, she kind of pounced the brush on the lemon, and that added also kind of a textured speckled look. So that's another idea that you can use to get kind of a cool effect on your lemons. So there's the honey, and I love this when you have these multiple steps like this, and as you're going, how this image comes more and more to life with each step that you do. So just adding those speckles just makes those lemons, I mean, that much more interesting than they were just a little bit ago. And my cat Nina is down here. So if you hear some meowing, she is twirling around my leg right now. Okay, so the top part of the lemon I'm going to add speckles, but I don't want them as dark. So I did them with the orange zest ink, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm stamping the little speckles, and I'm maybe stamping a couple of times to get kind of a random look, and I'm turning the speckles so that you get also more of that random look. So the speckles look different across the lemons, and it doesn't look like you just stamped uniform lemons. That's one thing I always try to keep in mind when I'm trying to stamp a random background, a random pattern, everything, is make sure you're turning your stamp different directions. Because if you stamp, like if you're going to do a random heart background or star background, and you stamp them all exactly the same, it's not going to look random. So make sure you turn things as you go. I think I have all of the speckles on there. And again, adding that, you needed orange zest color for me. We have the three oranges. Did I say orange zest again? I bet I did. Candy corn. Candy corn. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm just, I don't even know. Okay, so then for the leaves, I am adding, there's like two different leaf details. There's this little branchy, veiny one, and then there's a straight line. This one has a little bit of a curve, so I'm going to match that up with the leaves that are going that direction. If we did an orange zest color, I suppose if we had, I don't even know what color orange are we missing. I'm not sure. The one color I would like is kind of a really burnt orange, almost red color, but pumpkin is pretty close to that, but it's maybe a little bit more, I don't know if this means right, it's a little bit more rosy than I'm thinking, but I don't think a rusty orange would be necessarily called orange zest. Maybe something kind of leaning towards pineapple, but still orange. Does that make sense? Like pineapple is definitely a yellow tone, but it has orange in it. So like something more, I don't know, lighter and yellower than this, but not, yeah, candy, like fall leaves, where it's just a little bit brighter than this one. Like I like, yeah, like the rusty orange, I like a terracotta color, but that wouldn't be orange zest. That would be, I don't even know. We'd have to think of a food that is that color. Not liver though, not like April Fool's Day. I don't want to stamp with liver. Oh man. That was I really enjoyed that one. And how many people actually thought that was real. I loved it. I just really want those colors that you have just posted. That is liver and tuna or whatever that was. So for the leaves going the other direction than the veining, there isn't really a terracotta, Julianne. There's kind of a, like I would say, that pumpkin's probably the closest to like a terracotta color. Kelly says between peaches and cream and candy corn. That could be really pretty too. Because peaches and cream, definitely if we had a little bit more yellow in that. I'll let Taylor know that we have been brainstorming the next color. She'll be super excited. See, I'm not alone. Other people want those April Fool's colors too. I just don't want to, like, when I'm typing the blog and I'm typing the descriptions of the projects and stuff, I don't want to type liver. I just don't. There are definitely words I've gotten better at typing when you're doing the blog for a craft company, like iridescent. I'm really good at that, spelling that one out right now. I was not so good before. I missed one leaf going that direction, but I'm just going to add a stripe in there. And let me look and see. Oh, see one I missed. I know you probably all see the one I missed, but not. Okay. Okay, so there's our lemony background. And of course, I have not speckled it yet, but I'm going to do some of the other pieces of these cards before I speckle everything, and we'll speckle all at the same time. So there's a look at my finished background. This is kind of pre-speckling, so if you're not into speckles, this is perfect. So, but you know me, I like to add splatters and speckles to everything. Let's do the gingham background that I showed you before. So you can take a look. We'll just do all our stenciling at the same time. So I have another piece of toffee cardstock, and I'm adding that to my grid mat. And then I have the gingham rotating stencil. And again, here is your right side with the tailored expressions on it. I'm feeling like this is probably still sticky enough for me doing it. Maybe not. Okay, let me get my broken pixie spray. Woo! Dropped my stencil. I got to get that nozzle in just the right spot. There we go. You guys put up with me great when I have train wrecks on lives or have to deal with supplies that I didn't realize I was out of, or something broke or something like that. Okay, so I'm laying that stencil. Uh-oh, Jamie said there's something in the middle that I missed. Oh, you're totally right. Okay, I got to get it. Thanks, Jamie. There, I got it. Okay, so I need my toffee brush and I need my toffee ink to do a tone-on-tone look with this. I actually was inspired to pull this stencil out when I saw Emily Bendlowski for her candy cane projects with the Candy Cane Lane kit did gingham with, she did, I'm trying to think now, it was pink champagne cardstock, and she did the stripes and gingham on over the top in like a red. So I can't remember if she used watermelon or if she used cherry pop. Both of those would work really, really well. And I was like, oh, that is so pretty. It's such a nice look that goes with so many different things. It's kind of funny. It feels like I'm not putting any color on. I know that's not true. But when you're doing a tone-on-tone like this and you're like, And we have several different rotating stencils that create these backgrounds where it's one stencil, but rotating it gives you a completely different look. There's like a little sprinkle one. Now I can't think of the other ones. I think I can think of the sprinkle one where it adds like sprinkles for like a party to look like confetti or like sprinkles on a cupcake. Okay, I think I'm about, we'll take a peek here and make sure. Yeah, see, it looks like I'm not, and there. Okay, so then to get the second layer, you're gonna take your stencil and rotate it 90 degrees and set it back down, and that's gonna create the stripes going in the opposite direction so that when I stencil this, it's going to have a gingham effect, kind of a gingham check effect. And again, it feels like that color is not going down, but it is. When you're doing tone on tone like this, it's like, is it working? We can even peek just to make sure. Hold on. Yeah, it is. It's totally working. Oh yeah, Deneen says stars. That's the other one. So you can have the little random star background. The stars are great for so many themes. I love adding stars to so many different types of projects. It's one of my favorite little detail images. Okay. I think I've got it about now. Gingham, stars. Oh, the pool party. Confetti, sprinkles, and rotating rays. That's right. Thanks, Charlie. We have quite a few. I can only think of one. I could grab my stencils and look, right? Okay, so when I peel this off, then I'm going to have my gingham design underneath. So this stencil made this. I love that look, and doing it tone on tone like this. And of course I have an affinity for toffee cardstock, and one of the hugest reasons is there's a couple reasons. Number one, I love the natural look. Number two, this is a neutral color that goes with so many things. So many things. Okay, so let's cut out some lemons. I've got my little die cut machine here, my little sidekick. And, oh, we can cut out some flowers too. Let me grab a little bit of white cardstock to cut out some flowers. If I sound far away, I'm over cutting on my cutter over here. So I'm just going to cut out the 3 lemons, and I'll show you how I shaded those. Because if you just cut these out, they're just bright yellow. So we have to add a little bit of something to them. I have to hold this down because it doesn't suction to the paper. It sort of does, and then as soon as you start turning the handle. So there's our lemons. I'm just going to set those aside over here. And then the leaves, I am going to cut out with a piece of avocado cardstock. And just run that through. So if you wanted to do like a sticky sheet on the back of these to make these easy to adhere, you sure can. I'm going to use foam squares to adhere my lemons, so I'm not doing a sticky sheet on the back. So there's the lemons. Or the leaves. Leaves and lemons, excuse me. And then the flowers. I love this how there's a whole bunch, so you can just cut out a bunch of flowers at one time, so you don't have to run one little flower die through the die cut machine 17 times. I have done this before. If there's a specific die that I like, I will do it, but I appreciate, like, this has all the flowers, and then is it How Does Your Garden Grow? That's another one that has all the flowers. And the Wonky Hearts is the one that came out this week that gives you a whole bunch of little shapes to use on your card. The Little Bit Stars, the Little Bit Hearts, anything that cuts out multiples for me is automatically up on my list. Okay, so for the center of the flowers, I'm just going to cut these teeny little centers out of lemon meringue cardstock. I looked up middles. In my head, I was envisioning pink on the flowers, but then, of course, a quick Google search, they are more yellow in the center. You can obviously do whatever you want. But okay, so let's add a little shading to these lemons and leaves. And I'm treating this like this is the ink color. And so just like I did on the stencil, I'm going to grab my orange zest. Or not, I did it again, you guys. Orange zest, candy corn. Where am I? I'm just going to hit the bottom and side of that little lemon shape with just a touch of that orange color. And these lemons too, there isn't really a top or bottom. You can rotate these however you want them to go. So if you want this to go on the bottom, you can definitely do that. There's no right or wrong way with these. And then I wanted to add just a touch of distress to my lemons, and I actually used mocha, but I'm gonna hit it with toffee, because if these are just maybe a little bright for me, maybe for you they're fine, but for me they're a little bright, so I just hit them with just a little tiny touch of that toffee ink. I also have used to add just a little bit of distress look to a shape before. I'll also use just a tiny touch of mocha ink. That's another way to do it. But I think this is going to be just enough to add so it's not so bright. It kind of hits that edge and just gives it a little bit of a more rustic look. Okay, so let's go back to the stamps. Where did my little black go? Over here. And we're going to do the same thing we did on the stamped images, and we're going to add the little honey dots at the bottom part of the lemon. Actually, I'm just going to do that. Same thing, turn that little stamp around so you get more of a random look. Stamp more than once. Go back in, and then I'm going to add orange speckles to the top part of the lemon. Candy, you would remember candy corn. Your name is perfect for remembering candy corn. I am not doing so great at remembering candy corn. Okay, so there are my lemons, and then I am just going to hit the leaves. The flowers I'm just going to leave white and yellow. I could do a little bit of something to them, but when you get down to some of these itsy bitsy teeny tiny things and you're in there with a little brush going I don't know. That's just not something I need to take time to do. So maybe if you do, go ahead, but I'm not going to. Okay, so I'm adding just a touch of shading with that olive ink on the little die cut leaves. Thanks, Donna. It doesn't take much. And if you're not sure about colors, this is why we do these tutorials and stuff. So we can, share the colors we use so you can get some of the same effects. If you can definitely play around and come up with some of your favorite shading combinations, but you can copy everything we share with you. There's nothing wrong with that. We are constantly inspired by each other when we are stamping. Like I said, Emily Mindlowski inspired me to pull out my Gingham stamp. Are we using it exactly the same way? No, but I loved how it looked on her project, and I wanted my project to have that too. Okay, so here is all of my pieces, and we're going to do a little bit of speckling. The flowers I'm not as concerned about, but I'll just keep them right there. And I have another gingham background that I need to speckle as well. So those of you that know me know exactly what's coming next. I've got my Copic Opaque White ink. Thank you, Candy. I'm glad it's making your day to do a little crafting or watch a little crafting along with me. All right, I've got my brush wet. Now, again, the stuff you get from the store is not in the same bottle. It looks more like a nail polish bottle. So take it out, put it onto a surface like acrylic block or a piece of acetate, and then pick it up with a brush. And I'm going to tap my finger and speckle. Ooh. I would like all of this lemon to get speckles. Speckle the Copic Opaque White ink. You could use sugar cube ink to speckle white. You could use acrylic white paint. You could use another acrylic ink of some kind. And I just love adding that little pop of white bright to my projects. Just something I love. And then I will do a little speckling layer with chocolate truffle liquid watercolor. For my Halloween projects, however, I did switch to Oreo liquid watercolor for speckling, just because, it's Halloween, I got to do orange and black. But on a typical project, I do the chocolate truffle liquid watercolor. This is already on a block. There's a little blop of it right there. So I'm just going to re-wet that with my brush. I think I have most of the white off of there. Re-wet that with my brush, and then we're going to speckle that over everything. This is just one of my favorite things to do. Jamie said she finally ordered that Copic Opaque White ink so she can speckle like me. Yes, everybody should have it because it's the best speckling stuff out there. It's my favorite. But like I said, you can use other white types of things. Use your white sugar cube ink, just press your ink pad onto a block, pick it up with your brush, and speckle away. Okay, so for this lemon card, and these, it takes not a whole lot of time to dry the speckles. You can just work on something else, or I'll show you here in a second. You can actually just dab these with a paper towel to get the excess water off of there. And your color is not, I wouldn't wipe it, but if you just go like this, it's going to be plenty enough for you to that. What did you say? Who said that? My speckling looks better on the counter. Candy said that. Do you know how much speckling is all around this area and how many speckles I have wiped off my phone and my glass mat? You guys, there are speckles everywhere. Belinda's asking, so it maintains the white and doesn't absorb the ink of the image. Yes, that is the one thing I love about the Copic Opaque White ink, is it stays bright and white. So I'll show you, these are, this panel that I'm going to show you, I did, a couple weeks ago. And look how nice and bright and white that remains. Candy says if you'd like a blizzard look, wipe. Yes, if you'd like a straight line wind, wipe right across. But I want the speckles. So there's a look at one that's a couple weeks old, just so you can see how bright and white that Copic stays. Okay, I'm going to trim my panel down a little bit because I want it to be, I layered it on top of the gingham. Here's where you can see too. This is the one I did earlier, and then this is the one I did now. How much the ink does change as it dries. Definitely gets a little, it's definitely darker when you put it on. And then it just kind of, I don't know, lightens up and just settles into the color it's going to be, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to trim actually a 1/2 inch off of each side of these lemons because I want enough of a border to have a peak of the gingham coming out. So we're going to actually add this panel to that, and I did not do enough on there. I must have only done a 1/4 inch. Yes, I only did a 1/4 inch. So that gives you just a peek of that gingham all the way around and adds just that cool kind of quilty look to it. And I love that one. It's just this little touch of texture peeking out from the underneath your card. Emily Midlowski does this a lot. Take a look at her cards. Okay, so I'm trying to remember what I did on this one. Maybe these cards won't look exactly like they're supposed to look, but that's okay. I do have sentiments. That is the one thing I did do ahead of time, is I have my sentiments. So I have my hello. There's a sticky paper on the back because I did this on vellum. So if that's what you were hoping to see today, I'm so sorry. Okay, and then the other thing I did for these is I cut out some of these. This is the A2 thin frame cutting plate, so I've got these ready to go. And I think I don't need these 2 biggest ones. I need that one feels good. I can't remember now for this one, so let's see. I think it's one down from there. Yes, there. I just love how these thin frames finish off a design. It cuts out all these frames at once. I have a zipper bag. I know I've shown this to you before, but I keep them all in a zipper bag like this, so I can just go in here and fish out a frame and see if I can find a frame out of a color before I start cutting stuff out. These are still kind of in the die. I'm just gonna pick those out so I can put them away, because that would be a bonus, cleaning up after myself, right? Okay, for my lemons, I am going, oh, and I didn't glue these together yet. I'll get them. I'll get there. Okay, so let's glue these frames down. We're closing in on 11 o'clock. But if you're not in a hurry, I'm not in a hurry. If you have to go, you can always watch the replay later as well. It shouldn't take me too long to get these together. We've got all of the elements done. And I love how and when I'm actually creating, I'm putting all these elements together. Like I'm making the backgrounds with the lemons, and I know I want to use the gingham, so I'm doing that as well. I'm cutting out lemons, and then at the end is when I'm actually going, okay, let's put this together and see what it can become. And you saw the result on my blog and on the TE blog. So I really am just playing around with the products and then getting them where they need to go on the card. And this has a sticky sheet on the back. So I'm just take that off because that vellum, that's the best way to adhere it, in my opinion. And I had this one kind of off to the side here. And then let's stick this frame down. Run my little multimedia mat. That's my favorite liquid adhesive because it's not shiny when it dries. So if you get a little bit of glue somewhere else in your card, it's not going to stand out. It's going to be pretty not noticeable, I guess, would be the best word. Okay, so let's stick that frame on there. This card is going to take up the whole card front, the gingham. And this one is also going to take up the whole card front, but there is that mat with the gingham peeking out. I'm just eyeballing these frames to make sure they are looking centered in the design. This one I'm not going to stick down quite yet because I need to get my lemons on here. So I'm going to do the leaves, maybe this one like this. I don't remember what they look like on the actual card. Maybe I'll do this one up here. No, this one down here. Linda's saying sometimes the live stops mid-sentence right at 11 o'clock. I think, you know what I think it is we're actually a little bit delayed. So like when I'm talking to you, you're not hearing it until like 30 seconds after I say it. And so sometimes we hit that stop and that's probably why. It's very hard for us to tell that. Does that make sense? I don't know how to explain that, if that explains it or what. Okay, I'm going to stick it on the back so I can sort of stick my leaf behind. Catch that stem because I'm going to put that up there. Yeah, Charlie said the same thing. It's because of the delay. And I know Taylor, she's got people knocking on the door because it's time for make and takes in the studio, right? So if she doesn't sign off, then people are ready to come in. Okay, so let's attach that leaf right there. And add a little adhesive here to do that. And then I'm just going to grab my foam squares to adhere the lemons. I'm going to stick them back first so I can arrange everything the way that I want it. And then we'll attach it. Okay, so I think what I'll do is we're going to adhere the hello first. Yeah, usually, Linda, all you're missing is going, see you later, goodbye. So hopefully it's nothing too crazy. Maybe I'll switch. Let's see. This is very technical. I want a bigger lemon up there. Okay, let's do this. All right, I'm going to adhere the hello down. So again, that's embossed. This is the Get the Word Out Hello. So this is one of the other new stamps and coordinating dies that you can also get. Candy says I have 7 minutes left. I think the clock on my wall, I do have. I think we're going to get these done. The clock on my wall is like a little bit fast, and actually I have not changed the time, so it says it's almost 10 o'clock, but I'm in Central Time, so it's actually almost 11 o'clock. Okay, I'm feeling good about here. Okay, I'm using just undoing my foam adhesive to adhere these down. And I want these to sort of look like they're gathered around the hello, which I feel like they do. Oh, you know what? Let's kind of get these so they're kind of nestled a little bit more. And then the final touch is going to be these teeny tiny flowers, but first I got to put these centers on. So I'm going to grab my Embelly Jelly tool, which I probably can't find because I'm looking for it last minute. There it is. I lied. There you are. It gets buried in my pencil cup because it's not as tall. So a little dab of glue in the middle. Stick that little center on. These are such sweet little flowers. You could also add a little rhinestone to the center of this, or one of those tiny diamonds would be really sweet in the center. Would add a little bit of extra sparkle. I'm wondering if I'm missing a center. You know what? I have some additional flowers already made, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to do these three. And then I think I adhered these with a foam square that I just trimmed down with a pair of scissors so that the flowers stuck up right along with the lemons, because the lemons are popped up. So I'm just going to set these on here to get a good look at what they look like. I don't remember what I put on the other card, but 3 is it would work just fine because that's kind of an odd number. No, I want more than that, I think. Yes, we need a couple more flowers. Here, I've got a couple over here. Thanks, Charlie, for your time zone translation. Charlie is our time zone expert. She can tell you what time it is anywhere in the country at any given time. I think you need to put that on your, when it says Charlie and what job you do, I think the time zone expert should also be on that. All right, this is that super fussy little, I'm doing teeny tiny stuff. I love doing fussy teeny tiny stuff like this, so this is right up my alley. I could sit and do tiny things like this all day long. My backing paper is being a pain coming off my foam square because I'm cutting them into tiny pieces. Come on. Okay, I'm about ready to give up on this foam square backing paper, not releasing from that. Okay, we're gonna get a different flower and put a different tiny square on the back of that because for whatever reason, the other one does not want to be on the card. I'm pretty sure that's why. And I probably have a little tiny circle I could use or something like that, but then I'd have to go find it and, we're live, so I don't want to do that. Okay, let's put the backing on here. And again with the flowers, when you're placing them on the card, I'm making sure that I'm putting them down in different directions so they look random. was afraid these back ears were going to be getting me the whole time. So there's that. I guess the other thing I did do, which I have not done yet, is I added flowers to this background. So I am going to actually just skip that right now. And let's quickly add these to the card bases, and we are done crafting. And this card too, you don't have to add the flowers to it. I do have to do, so it's funny, in our house, Thursdays are also, we call them post office days, because that's the day I go to mail things down to Taylor to make sure that she gets them in time for the live next week. So we always are like, it's post office day at our house. So once we hit whatever time, we go get lunch, we stop at the post office, and that is what Thursday is like at my house. Then I go, are we feeling like we're getting old here because we have post office day? I don't know. Okay, and this one I'm going to add directly to the card base. So there we go. Like I said, the only thing I didn't do on this card is I didn't add these flowers scattered throughout the design. So that is the other thing that you could do. But here's a look at how I did my projects with the Squeeze the Day set. So, Charlie, don't let anyone bring down your exciting post office day. That's right. It's a big deal at my house. Okay, I'm going to flip you up. So there's my ceiling, and I'm going to flip you this way. And I'm backwards, and you're just going to have to deal with me being backwards at the end because there's so many buttons I have to push to get there. So here are the cards that we created today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed all of the inspiration this week. And again, stop by the blog this weekend. You'll get more peeks for our new Halloween release that's going next week. And then next Tuesday, Taylor will be live to share all of the new Halloween products. And I think Susan will be next Thursday. So thanks again. Have a great weekend and rest of your week. And I hope you get some time in to do some crafting and enjoy some nice summer weather. Goodbye, everybody.